Let me just set the tone for what was going on here. The show was gigantic, and we were building, I think, towards our biggest ratings. And so it was everywhere. So we were trying to finish the episodes. And then when we got to this one, and the night that this one aired, I was shooting on stage that day the episode of next season because Bruce was going to go. By now, Cybill was pregnant, and we knew it. We couldn't shoot as long a day with her, and she had to. She could only shoot for a certain number of hours, so the pressure was even more than usual. And we finally get the episode done, and now I come, and Bruce was going off to do Die Hard. We had to keep shooting with Bruce and Cybill, we did, which is why I think the story split in two halves in that second season. Um, and anyway, so I got home and it was about 7:30, and the show was coming on at 9, and I said, let's go get something to eat. So we went to this local pizza place and we sat down and we said, we know what we want. We want a pizza and we have to eat it really quickly. We have to get home. And the waitress says, because you want to see Moonlighting. That table, and that table said the same thing. They had no idea that I worked on the show. I directed the show. It made me realize really how big that show was. Remember, people didn't, VCRs and all that stuff were not yet as ubiquitous. So I realized then what a big event it was. Oh, questions.
Yeah, Geek Chick wants to ask, was there a particular film stock that was standard and for any particular reasons?
Yes, I think we shot the film on a color stock that was about 400 ASA. Later on, when more shows were being shot on film and then being transferred to digital, they had came up with another film stock which was better for that. But this was essentially the same film stock that movies were shot on. I don't remember the batch number and so forth, but when the stuff got sent in, the lab knew it was for Jerry, and they knew that it's for Moonlighting. So they had settings and things that they knew would be what we wanted. I'm just going to get a little technical here. When you shoot, let me see if I can get this. When you take out your iPhone and you shoot in a room, photo, whatever, it comes back pretty much what you thought it would be. And that's because there's an algorithm in there and the phone compensates and so forth. When you're shooting on film, that's not what you get because you need much more light. So you have to open up what's called your f-stop. You have to open up the lens to allow more light in, but it still means you have to light it. So in order to do a dark scene at night, you would light it and then Jerry would close the lens so that it looked like night. But he had a good enough image so that the blacks are really velvety and dark, and the detail. So you would be standing on the set and it would look bright to your eye. But Jerry knew that what his eye saw when he stopped it down to the right stop would be what he wanted to see. Now, this kind of thing is still sort of in use today, but because digital is so fast, you don't, what you see with your eye is, and what you see on the monitor is pretty much what you're going to get.
Anne wants to know, did you ever work with anyone from Moonlighting again after it was over, or if not, did you want to?
Oh, I work with Cybill again on show about it was on Lifetime. It was about a Jennifer Love Hewitt was the star, and Cybill played her mother. Um, and it was about a massage parlor. Um, Curtis, who's Curtis's last name? Um, Herbert Viola. And I did a movie I love called Elvis Meets Nixon. And it's available on Amazon Prime. And it's about that event. It's a comedy. And we also worked together on a couple of different series. And he was on Crossing Jordan, where he played an S&M guy who called the Punisher. And it was part of a story of people crossing Jordan were showing up at the morgue dead because of what was going on at this S&M club. So there's a scene where they go to talk to the Punisher because they've seen it on TV on closed circuit. And they know this guy looks pretty dangerous. You don't see his face. He's wearing a black hood. Looks pretty scary. And they think, well, that's going to be our guy. So they go there and they act like they're interested in having a session with the Punisher. They're waiting for him to come off what he's doing. So you see them talking about it, and on the screen, it's him whipping somebody. And then they say, well, wait for him in the break room. So we're set up in the break room, and in walks the Punisher. It's Curtis with full S&M gear. You can't see his face with a hood on. So imagine you're the viewer going, oh my God, who is this guy? This guy could be the murderer. And he takes the hood off, and it's Curtis, which he had to give us valuable information. I wanted to make it fun and interesting. So right away, you get that kind of reaction. And then he says, look, I'll answer your questions, but I'm on my break. I'm starving. So the Punisher spent the questioning, classic, Law and Order kind of questioning, while he's making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, wearing all the accoutrements of S&M. But it worked pretty well. I did
Jackie,
a yeah.
Jackie wants to know how long did it take to write an episode to final print on average?
Well, in theory, it should be they break the episodes, meaning they come up with the story 6 weeks ahead of time. As they start talking about what it's about, and on blackboards and whiteboards, actually, they work out the storyline and what's going to happen. The next thing they do is they break it into an outline form depending on what the acts are. Act one, two, three, and four in those days. At that point, Glenn will come back in and look at what's done and give notes. Um, so, so you've used up a week or two coming up with the basis for it, and now you've got the notes and you see what it is, and everyone will contribute writing part of it because you're always falling behind. So now you have a really rough script that the credited writer rewrites, and now we're like 3 weeks away from shooting, and so the writer rewrites it, takes more notes, and then we get ready for prep. So this script is then prepped about 10 to 12 days before shooting. And then because of the prep and because of the script, knowing what's going to happen, it goes through constant revisions at that point. And each revision is a different color paper. So it's white, pink, blue, green, yellow, gold. And it's rewritten almost every day on Moonlighting. And Glenn does his final pass. So that's it's always fluid and it's always changing. But
Wendy
Moonlighting
wants.
was, yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Moonlighting
Continue.
was unique because Glenn wrote so much of it at the last minute. And the episode, which I think you guys saw earlier today, my first one was the one I'm in the S&M parlor in the porno bookstore. I saw those pages only the day before, and I was given that part that morning because Glenn had rewritten and added the characters. He said, "Oh, let Allan play it." So I didn't know the ending of Sun Also Rises the scene in the backstage area after Bruce has pulled the bride out. We had only the vaguest idea what was going to happen till the day before, when the pages came in, and it was all of a sudden we thought it would be 3 or 4 pages. It turned into 11 pages with children of all nations singing "It's a Small World."
Wendy wants to know, how long did it take to film The Big Bang?
Okay, which is the Big
I'm
Bang?
curious. I'm curious, Maddie.
Oh, okay,
The next episode.
the whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say like 3 weeks because she could only work a certain number of hours. And during the shooting of it, Bruce broke his collarbone skiing. So he had to work, could not use both hands. So for instance, the scene in the parking garage, those are whoever has the close up working with two doubles because I couldn't get them all at the same time. Because we had overdone. Mark had a show to go to. He had used up all his time. Cybill was pregnant, and so she didn't want to come in and run around a parking garage. And Bruce could only do a limited number of things. So it took a long time to shoot that scene. It took a couple of days. Where normally you would have shot it in one day. And I think I only had Bruce and Mark on the same day once, and maybe her for part of that day. So it was just a lot of difficulties. The scene in the bedroom, the long scene where she doesn't know it's him in the bed, which I never really bought. But anyway, we actually had TV Guide on the set, and that was like a day and a half to shoot that scene. But then the day we shot the scene after it, where they come down the stairs, that was a really fraught day. But she did not want to go down those stairs too many times. He basically said, "I'm going to go down those stairs once when you shoot it." And I didn't have those pages till the day of. So if I had known, I would have ordered a camera crane so that we could imagine filming them at the top, and as they come down the stairs, we drop on the crane with them so they're always there. So we didn't have that. So the only thing we could do was shoot it in a wide shot. So Bruce and I read the line. She read the lines while she sat in her chair, and Bruce read the lines going down the stairs, and I was with him. And then she'd yell, "Stop! That's where I'm going to stop," and then we'd start again. And I remember going to the back of the top of the stairs and turning to Bruce, and she was in a mood. I said, "Bruno, put on your helmet. It's going to be a bumpy flight." so, I shot the knocking over the furniture and all that stuff with the doubles on one day, and then we shot the beginning of it where they slap each other and they go in the room on. That was one day that led into them on the floor, which I think everyone knows I did it by having them stand up and lean against
Mm-hmm.
the carpet and so forth. And that finished off that day. And Cybill swore that that would be terrible, would never work. But there it
Did,
is.
did Cybill and Bruce get on as badly as we're all led to believe?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But that said, it wasn't always like that. It became like that. What caused the bad feeling between them? The pressure, the fact that Bruce had become a star off of the show and was getting a lot of press, and because of the general sexism, of a woman star being taken for granted, whereas the new hot guy, was getting all the attention. Let me give you an example. Um, it may have been this episode when they were sitting. We did the car scene, and we had to pull over alongside, I think it was on Pico Boulevard, and get out while they adjusted the cameras. So Bruce and Cybill get out, and while they're standing there, a whole gym class of guys are on a jog. And all the guys started yelling Bruce's name, and none of them acknowledged Cybill was there. That kind of thing would burn her.
Yeah,
Looking
I
at
can
Moonlighting,
imagine.
you know,
Um, so how long did it actually take to film that the love scene part where they're rolling around on the floor and then the bed part?
I think we can say overall 2 days. 2 days.
Okay.
And here's the thing about their relationship. When they were in the car together and we were drive back to the stage, the studio, they would ask us to turn off the microphones. And then they would talk. And because no one was listening, so they had a deep relationship. And you could tell that the stuff they were talking about was serious and intimate to them. But then it would go back to the, cat and mouse stuff later on.
Of all the props were the cast allowed to decorate with personal items like pictures or stuff for staff's desk?
Yes, yes, they were. And was always an issue with the watches that David wore, because Bruce always wanted to keep the watches, wear them that night, going out. And pops would, you know, can't do that because if you forget it the next day, you're out of continuity. It's like actresses and actors very often want to keep the wardrobe. And
Mm-hmm.
when the season's done, they can buy it, or depending upon their relationship with the studio. Not while you're shooting.
So I on the Memories of Moonlighting, Mark Harmon said that he didn't remember having both Bruce and Cybill on the set at the same time a lot, especially during I'm Curious Maddie. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, that's what I just explained. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was so when I got an Emmy nomination, I was really surprised because I wanted to nominate the one before it, one we just saw, because I thought that was really all I remember of the last one. My so much of my creativity went into not making it look like it was business as usual, you know.
Mm-hmm. And let's see if there's anything else. Any other questions, guys? Is there anything in particular, like a memory that sticks out to you with filming Maddie's Turn to Cry or I'm Curious Maddie that you could remember? Anything
Well, I'm
funny
kind
or
of filled in. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the sun also rises, all right?
great?
Okay. So, like I said, we would often go into meal penalty and things like that. Do you remember the scene? I'm sure you do. At the end of Sun Also Rises, where they're dancing together at the
Absolutely.
father's wedding, and
Mm-hmm.
we were going to do it in one shot and have them dance around the camera and spin the camera while they were dancing, and they had to turn their bodies so when their lines came up, they were on camera, and then it was like dancing with the camera, and then Bruce would say his line and spin Cybill, and then Cybill would say her line, and so forth. And we wanted to do it on the kind of lens where everything looks gauzy and beautiful, right? So all the lights would look, out of focus and gorgeous that were set up there. It's a difficult shot. And we were setting it up, and they were not into it. They didn't, they would start to rehearse and then they'd start to rehearse and they'd stop. And Jerry needed to see them do the whole scene. And the focus guy really had to constantly have them there, not the double, them there, so he could get focus. So pressure was on him. Meanwhile, Cybill gets this Greek salad um, from the name of it, something Greek in the valley. She had sent out for it. Her assistant had gone all the way to the Valley because this is a really good salad. She's eating it on the set. We're all starving, and she just is like, we gotta get the rehearsal, so we got and she just doesn't want to stop eating the salad. And so I say to her, and Jerry says, I tell Cookie I gotta get this. So I say across the stage, I keep asking her, and she says finally, I do not yell my name across the stage. Okay. And I said, I need to get focus, Mark. What? And so she knew very well. So please put down the salad. So she puts it down, and I have to tell her something. You have to come over to me and tell me. Do not. I mean, we're literally only 30 feet apart. And so I start walking towards her, and it's dark. And I see the salad on the floor, and I am really pissed off. Because now she's drawing attention to me and the tension on the set, and got to get this shot. And so I stepped on her salad. And I said, "Oh my God, I stepped on your salad. I'm so sorry." She was fuming. And I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll send someone to the commissary. We'll get you another Greek salad." She goes, "That's not any Greek salad. That's from the Great Greek." So I got back at her. Sounds pretty petty, doesn't it?
But she wanted to finish her salad.
She sure did. But we're all standing here trying to make them look good, and they're not helping. Another time, and this would be on the next episode. Okay. So she had to have breaks. She could work for like an hour, hour and a half, and then she'd take a break to rest. I completely understand that. And so the way it worked was she had this big motorhome, and there was a bedroom in the back. And the thing was that if she went into the motorhome, that was okay because we'd come and get her. But if she went in the back of the motorhome, it was so big back there, we'd call it the back 40. She would undo her belt and lie down. Now the clothes were wrinkled, and that was another half hour. You had to iron them and all this kind of stuff. So we never wanted her to go to the back 40. So, and she also had a walkie-talkie so she could listen in on what was being said about the day, so she could keep track. And you never ever went in her motorhome without knocking. And she had a camera above the door. So you knocked, and she'd say, "Who is it?" And she'd look at you and talk to you. So the guy who was the first assistant director, we have to get this shot before lunch because we have to get this episode on the air. And she's gone into the motorhome, and Jerry is ready. We go, "You ready?" She says, Get Cookie in here. Get Cookie in here. We gotta go. We gotta go." So I turned. What was his name? Skip. I said, Skip Bodine. I said, "Skip,
Mm-hmm.
we gotta go." He says, I know. And he goes running, and he sees her assistant. And he says, "Where's Cybill?" She says, "She's headed towards the back." And Skip runs up to the door, is about to knock, and goes, "Fuck it." He throws open the door, and he sees she's right by her bed, starting to undo her belt. And he throws himself on the floor in front of her in a begging position. He goes, "Missy Cybill, Missy Cybill, don't go to the back 40. Don't go to the back 40." And it made her laugh, and she says, "Okay, Skip, for you."
So this was when you were filming I'm Curious, right? I'm Curious
Yeah,
Maddie when she was pregnant?
yeah, yeah. Okay, there's something about a clock tower. I was not involved with that one.
Yeah, that was Robert Butler, right?
Oh, great director. Great director. Probably one of the most influential television directors ever. He shot the pilot for Hill Street Blues. He shot the pilot for St. Elsewhere. He was the man. Well, is
So
that all?
I think, do you guys have any other questions for Alan? Now's the time to put them in the chat.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Alan.
This
This
is,
is amazing.
You're welcome.
this is
Enjoy the
amazing.
episodes. Enjoy the episodes. Bye.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, take care, Alan.
Bye.
Bye.